I am confused half of the time. I remember when I was 23, I used to bug out so bad, guys. You should always do things that are inclined for your growth, not just because someone somewhere thinks you should have done this by this stage of your life. Why are you trying to go ahead of yourself? Hey gems, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Thelma, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for tuning in again. So as you've seen by today's title, I thought I'd be further by now, and honestly that statement has been living rent-free in my mind more than I would care to admit. In my mind, my 20s were supposed to be this era of growing up, having clarity, having success, the dream job, either 9 to 5 or entrepreneurship, whatever it is. But you're living good, you're sorted, maybe married, maybe kids, and all of that good stuff. But instead, it's looked like a lot of confusion. I am confused half of the times, starting over, letting go, figuring out what I don't want, even before I know what I do want. A lot of us entered our 20s with this vision in mind that we would have our dream life already done. I'll have the dream job, maybe I'll be married, maybe engaged, traveling, thriving, all those good stuff that you always imagine that, oh, when I get to adulthood, I'm going to enjoy all of these things. But what happens when life doesn't match that timeline? What happens when you wake up one day staring at the ceiling and you wonder, wait, am I behind? That feeling of not being where you thought you would be it gets very overwhelming for us as individuals. You start to have so many doubts, you start to feel like a failure, you start to feel like you're not doing enough, or you've not put in enough work to get to where you thought you'd be in your head. But here's the thing, it's not failure if you are not there yet, you're not where you imagine. It's definitely not failure in any way. And here's the honest truth, sometimes I wake up completely unsure of how I'm going to conquer today, or the next day, or the next month. And then I had to ask myself, where is this pressure coming from? Why do I feel this invisible pressure to have everything figured out by my 20s, maybe before I turn 25, or even before you turn 30? Who put these standards in place? Is it the society? Is it family? Who told me I was supposed to be further by now? And what if I'm not behind? What if I'm exactly where I need to be? There's this quiet pressure we carry, like we're supposed to be winning some sort of invisible race that has no prize. So there's also guilt, right? Like, I should have figured this out by now. I should have figured all of this by now. I should have money by now. I should be traveling. I should be living good. I should be doing all these things by now. And you start to feel so guilty for not being where you think you should be. But what if you are exactly where you need to be? And here's something I've learned in my journey of life in my 20s is that sometimes further doesn't have to mean, more. It doesn't have to mean more riches. It doesn't have to mean more accolades. It doesn't have to mean more followers or more money. Sometimes further is just saying no when you usually say yes out of fear. And sometimes further is letting go of people, things, and habits that do not serve you. Sometimes further is also starting over when it is extremely scary to even push forward. Like I said in my last video, you can start over time and time again. Sometimes further is doing that for yourself, pushing your own limits, pushing your own boundaries to be better. Sometimes it's sitting with your pain instead of avoiding it, instead of looking for ways to distract yourself. It's sitting with your pain and dealing with it how you should. That is further for me at this point in my life. Those small steps you take in your everyday life, it doesn't always have to include material success, it doesn't always have to include money. It is also being kinder to yourself when you feel like you haven't been productive enough. I know sometimes we feel guilty for resting and not being productive every time, 24/7, always doing something. Sometimes it's just sitting in stillness and just being you. No one claps for that type of growth. That's the truth. No one claps for it. And you should clap for yourself. Even if you don't get any external validation, you should clap for yourself because it's real and it matters. But since no one claps for them, we start to think that it's not real growth, we are not making real progress. But you are actually making a lot of progress, I promise you. The thing that I have had to learn, and I also think you would be learning too, is that sometimes you are not behind. Most times you are not behind. If I'm being honest, you are not behind. You are just on your own timeline, and that's the truth. You're moving at your own pace. You're winning your own race. When you're on your lane, there's nobody, as they say, there's no traffic when it's just you on your lane because you're not looking at anybody else. That's why it's important for us not to compare ourselves, especially when it comes to societal pressures or family pressures. You should always do things that are inclined for your growth, not just because someone somewhere thinks you should have done this by this stage of your life, or even you think that you are supposed to have done a couple of things by now. Why are you trying to go ahead of yourself? I mean, there's no late time. I think it's just your path, and sometimes your path is going to look quiet before it starts to bloom. Now, I'm learning to give myself more grace. I'm learning to sit in stillness. You have to learn how to sit in that stillness. Sometimes no movement is movement. That's the honest truth. Sometimes no movement is movement. You have to always ask yourself, what is each season teaching me? So sometimes when you're in a certain spot, there are some certain things you have to figure out for yourself. It's not always about the money. It's not always about the success we see online. Let everything become as it should be without forcing anything. You have to let the becoming happen without the extra overthinking. Because not every season is going to be loud. You can't control outcomes. You can't control timelines. Sometimes the stillness is actually the further. If you're still in that place that you feel like you're in stillness, you're not moving, it's okay. It's totally okay. You're not alone. We all go through it. And I just want to let you know you're not alone. So don't fret if nothing is moving right now, because even if it's not moving to you, I promise you, you're in bloom. Okay, it's just like when you plant a seed. You don't expect the seed to bear fruit immediately. You have to give it some time. You have to sit in stillness. You have to water it. You have to nurture it. That's the same way we have to nurture our lives. We have to nurture our 20s. It's not always going to be so active. You're not always going to be on the move. You're not always going to be going. Sometimes it's going to be extremely quiet. No accolades. Nobody is clapping for you. You're not doing any extraordinary thing. But baby, you're here and you're living, and that is enough. I promise you, that is enough. But if you are still in that place where you're not sure what's next, you're just floating, I want to let you know that it's totally okay. It's okay. You're not lost. You're just in between chapters, and that's fine. We have this whole thing of wanting to have everything figured out. As humans, that's how we are. We want to figure everything out. We don't want to leave anything to the unknown. We want to know everything. But sometimes you're not going to know everything. And I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You're not always going to be steps ahead. You're not always going to be where you thought you would be. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to build a house. I'm going to do this. Now, to buy a car is so expensive. I used to think buying a car, then I will get 1 million sometime and I will buy a car. Right now, before you buy a car, you're going to sweat. You're going to sweat, guys. And you start to feel like you're behind on some timeline, like especially when you see your mates or people in your supposed age group doing better than you, according to you, or doing things you wish you could do. You're going to start to feel bad. But I want to let you know that it's totally fine. It's totally okay. You are not behind. You are just becoming. This is your own chapter. This is your book. You are your main character in your story, nobody else. So anything anybody is getting, it doesn't affect you in any way. It doesn't affect you in any way because you are on your own timeline. You are running your own race. So try not to get ahead of yourself. That's basically all I'm saying. Try not to get ahead of yourself. Always give yourself the grace. Like I always say, be sure to give yourself the grace. I want to assure you that you are not behind, because when everything starts rolling in, you're going to understand why you needed to sit in stillness before. It's going to make sense to you. You're going to be like, oh, why was I even rushing? What was I rushing for? I mean, I thought I would be further by now, but by the time you get to your own destination, you're going to understand why it took the time it took. And you're going to see that it didn't even take so much time because it was just your own story unfolding. So if you've been feeling like you are behind, if you've whispered to yourself, I thought I'd be further by now, this is your reminder that you are not alone. We are all in this together. We are all trying to figure out our 20s, even those coming into their 20s. I don't want you to put so much pressure on yourself, especially if you're 21, 22, 23. Those times are really crucial. I remember when I was 23, I used to bug out so bad, guys. I think there was a time I was kind of depressed. If you want me to do a story time on that, let me know. I will. I was feeling so bad at that point in my life that I was like, I am so behind. I'm not where I thought I should have been. But at this stage in my life, I understand why everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. I understood why I was supposed to sit in that stillness at that time of my life, because life gets better. There's no, I'm telling you, life gets better. There's no way life doesn't get better, especially when you put in the work. All you have to do is put in the work on your own part and let the universe handle the rest. And you should give yourself permission to be where you are, not to rush. Without shame, without rushing, trust the process. You should trust, we have to trust the process. I know sometimes you say, can the process trust me for a change? But you have to trust the process. You have to put in your trust in the process. You have to have faith in yourself that you are going to figure everything out. Even if you don't figure it out, that's still fine. You're still here, you're still pushing, you're still going, and that is great on its own. Because you are not failing, you are just unfolding and you are becoming. So guys, if you're watching at this point still, you're such a gem for staying tuned. And if today's video resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know a couple of things you thought you'd have figured out by now. Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.